This is the consumerisation of IT stuff, okay? So consumerisation of IT is you're bringing in your fruit-flavoured devices, okay, because you don't like your Windows boxes anymore. Or you're bringing in your much better, you've got a really nice Windows box at home, and at work they give you some clunky old pile of rubbish, okay? So, but that's the point. That's where consumerisation of IT is coming from. Some people, some businesses are even saying, you know what, when we do a PC refresh, here's £1,000, go off and buy, or 500 quid, go buy yourself a PC. That's it. That's the consumerisation of IT. You want your nice one, go and buy the one you like, but I'm gonna still give you secure access to the resources that I want you to, that you need to do your job using tools like this, okay? It's kind of the point. So remote access, talk to that in a second. How do you get people into your network securely from somewhere else? We'll cover that. Remote desktop services has grown up big time. So that's terminal services and VDI all mixed together, and I'll talk to that. Branch cache is how do you reduce the amount of network bandwidth required between your sites? How am I clever with, I've centralized everything, but I'm working remotely. How do I stop that link getting clobbered? I can be real clever about how I do that. If I'm doing terminal services or VDI, I have this thing called Remote FX, which is the ability to do the likes of full definition, high definition video and audio over a terminal services RDP session. So it lets you do, lets you work remotely nicely using link and audio and video and stuff, okay? If you're going to go down a terminal services route and or the VDI solutions, the user profile disk is very, very clever. It's keeping your entire profile on a VHD file, which gets plugged in automatically into your session. So I might well get the gold image every time I log on to the VDI pool, but I get my profile, my personalization plugged into it, which is kind of nice, okay? Support all USB devices, so whether that's discs or microphones or speakers or anything, fine. And then some clever stuff around once you've got people securely onto your network from whatever device, okay? How are you going to lock down what they can and can't do? How are you going to audit what they did? How are you going to restrict and stop data leaking out? So that's kind of the bits that we speak to. And I'll slide in a demo on each, okay? So remote desktop services is what we now call terminal services and VDI plugged in together, okay? So if you've seen, we work very closely with Citrix. We love each other. We like that, okay? That's the way it works. But if you've noticed, every time we bring a release of Windows Server out, Citrix adds some value. We bring a release of Windows out, Citrix adds some value. We bring a release of Windows out. So we keep extending the functionality is the point, okay? So the whole solution looks like this. I have a web access portal that I can put up and let people connect to from whatever device and click on the resource that I've given them to use. So whether that's a VDI session or an application or a terminal server session, it doesn't matter. I can give them to it on a web access. So from whatever device, I can give them access. This is their beginning point. I can put that behind a gateway. So go home, connect to this via a gateway, SSL VPN basically, and now I've got secure access over the internet to my corporate network. All this is obviously managed through Server Manager and the likes, but the thing in the middle is this connection broker. So my RDP session coming, remote desktop protocol, coming from anywhere, get hits here, and depending how I've configured it, okay, you are either going to go and run a terminal server session, run an application that I've published on a terminal server box, or go to a VDI session where I'm going to give you your personal dedicated virtual machine running Windows 7 or 8, or a pooled version where we all get one, we all share, and there's a pool running there, and we always have enough running, and you'll just connect to a new one, into which I plug your personalization. That's kind of the whole solution in a slide. And let me show you how easy it is to set up. So we've been able to do a lot of this for a good long while, to be honest. We've just made it a lot easier, in my opinion. So I'm going to press pause quickly on this. When you configure a server, you're always used to go in and do role-based stuff. So I'm adding roles and features, and you'd kind of build up the server to where you wanted it to be by adding different roles and different features. And you did it on each server. Okay. Now what we do is you can do that, and you can do it remotely. Quite nice. You can do it to virtual hard disks if you want to. But we can also do this whole solution in one click, or one wizard, to be more accurate, okay? So we've done that, we've done that just for remote desktop services. And remote desktop services wizard looks like this, okay? So I'm going to do the whole shooting match in one go. Standard deployment or a quick start. Quick start lets you put the whole shooting match on one box, really designed for test and dev, okay? I'm doing VDI. They're the bits it's going to configure. These are the servers I'm going to use. I'm going to use server 3 for the broker. Checks that a machine called server 3 exists. And then I'm going to use server 3 again for the web access box, all well and good. And I'm going to use these two guys here, VM host 2 and 3, to be the VDI hosts. Just checks everything's fine, I can connect to them all, does whatever it's going to do. So get the idea. The idea is next, finish, solution. That's what we're trying to get to. It's not quite as easy as that. It points out that these two guys might need rebooting because it will install the Hyper-V role. Okay, just works. So what you end up with after you've clicked next a few times is this. I did a virtual machine one. I've got 2 more steps to do, add some more hosts, create some virtual desktops. I've done that already, okay? But this is the picture you get. It's highlighting the fact that, Dave, you need a gateway, if you want a gateway, and you haven't licensed it correctly. Please click on those 2 green crosses. This is the end user experience. I've connected to the portal. I authenticate myself as some guy called Ben, and Ben's been given something. In this example, Ben's been given a pooled VDI box. He's going to connect, brings all his USB devices with him, and he gets given the corporate image of, in this instance, it's Windows 8, okay? With my profile and personalization plugged in, potentially running applications that have been published from the terminal servers. Get the idea? It's really nice, and the point is it's next, a few more nexts, a few more, and finish. Okay, that's the point. It's easy to do. We're just trying to make this thing easy to do. Okay, direct access. So terminal services and remote desktop services have been around for a while. We've just made it easier. It's grown up a lot. Okay, direct access has been around for a while. We launched direct access with Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2. So it's been around for 2 or 3 years. I'm getting a bit old now. The solution is direct. The problem space was kind of, I'll explain the problem space first, okay? I'm a user. And by definition, when I say user, I mean someone who's not necessarily IT literate. That's nothing against users, okay? Apologies if you're a user and watching this, okay? And when I'm at work, I'm clicking away on things, I'm getting emails with links, and I'm clicking on the links, and everything just works, okay? Just seamless. I'm at work. I'm sitting on my corporate machine, on a corporate network, and I can do my job. And I get a laptop one day, and I take my laptop home, or I'm in a hotel somewhere, and I'm clicking away on things, and everything's working fine, until I click on a link that's an internal link. I'll get this, this thing that says, URL not found, or connection not there, or something funny, okay? And I'm a user, so I either give up and don't work anymore, or I remember that course I went on where they mentioned something called VPN. And VPN. I know that I need to go and get my smart card or my little dongle thing they gave me and plug it into the laptop and start something called a VPN client. And then I've also remembered that, it can take a while because it needs to do some updates to the machine before it lets me on the corporate network. So I know I should go and have my dinner now, or go off to the bar for a while and come back. That was the solution, VPNs. Don't get me wrong, VPNs are great. But direct access is better than that. Direct access, the way it works is, I call it a VPN-less VPN. VPN client-less VPN. So the way it works is, machine turns itself on, finds an internet connection, and then using direct access will tunnel its way through the internet to the corporate network, using whatever way it can find, okay? It uses all sorts of tunneling, IPv6 through v4s and all sorts of clever stuff, but it finds the corporate network. The machine did. I come and log on. I've logged on against the network. As far as the user is concerned, I'm clicking on links and it just works, okay? I didn't have to learn anything. It just works. This is an interesting side of the slide. Those machines are always corporately connected. They're getting group policy, they're getting patched, they're getting maintained, they're getting looked after. People miss this side of this. This is a massively important side of the direct access solution. Now there is a caveat behind for this, and I'll give you this. It's Windows 7 or Windows 8 Enterprise Edition. And that's all I'll say on that one. but it's a nice solution, okay? Interestingly, the terminal server piece on the last one, to get the licenses, the easiest way of getting the licenses for all that stuff is to use Windows 7 or Windows 8 Enterprise Edition. Okay, there's lots of reasons to get the Enterprise piece, which is just buying software assurance on your client. Direct access, Enterprise Edition. There's lots of reasons for Enterprise Edition, and I'm going to shut up and I'm trying to flog you Enterprise Edition because that's not my job. Let me quickly show you direct access. And again, it's been around for ages. It's just been hard to do. In the old days, you used to have to go and get a UAG box and a consultant for a week or two, and eventually you'd get it working. Routing and remote access role turned on. I can either deploy VPN, I can deploy direct access, or I can do both. I'm going to do both, okay? Just to show you how easy it is, and it's next, 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 finish. I wouldn't suggest you do next, 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 finish, but you can, okay? So there's my first next, okay? This is the wizard starting. Well, maybe that's the beginning of the next, next, next. So it's checking stuff, it's checking that the server's configured correctly, it's initializing the configuration for the wizard, and off it's going to go in a second. Now, obviously, this is a CAN demo, so I'm cheating. Is it an edge server or an edge server sitting behind a network? Edge server basically means I've got one leg in the internet and one leg on the corporate network. Simple as that, okay? Or am I behind some sort of firewall device, in which case I'm one of the other two. The only configuration option for this, if you do the next, 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 finish, is the name or the IP address of the host on the internet, okay? Which is going to get via group policy pushed out to the workstations, and then the workstations are going to do their bit. The server end has done all that. This takes a bit longer than that, but it's done all this clever stuff. It's done all your IPsec, it's done your NAT64s, it's done your DS, everything. The solution looks like this. I'll open it out a bit. The clients you can configure for what GPO, which machines get the GPO, do you give them any tools and wizards to troubleshoot, that kind of idea. So that's the configuration of the client. As far as the server is concerned, it's which pieces of all those green ticks are you going to use. The default, it will turn them all on and we'll try and tunnel through. Infrastructure servers are things like domain controllers and potentially WSUS servers. Maybe you don't let them onto the network until they're patched, okay? And when they're on the network, which servers are you going to give them access to? By default, it's all of them, but you might want to throttle down and give them, it's the sales guys, for God's sake, just give them the sales servers, that kind of mentality, okay? That's a nice picture of this. And the end user perspective is this: log on to a machine, it's already found the internet. You have to believe me, this is only internet connected with one NIC, okay? I've connected to the machines on the internet, it's done its direct access thing. I authenticate against the network now, and if I look at my network settings, I've connected to direct access, and it just works. It's a group policy setting. Where's my domain, my DA servers? That's it, really. It's nice. No longer is it the week-long consulting gig or whatever. It's nice. Dynamic access control is restricting who gets access to what in a lot more granular detail than we currently do. We should do, users go into global groups at one end. On the other end, on my resource, I create local groups for things like read access, read write access, whatever. And then I put the global groups into the correct local groups. That's the way we should do it. So that when I change my role, you take me out of the global group for, let's pretend I'm in marketing, and I drop myself into IT, and suddenly all my access to the whole network's just changed. That's the way you're supposed to do it, right? Does anyone do that? Probably not. So when I do change my role, what you actually do is you have to go through and look at every single access control list on every single resource on my whole network to make sure that you haven't accidentally left Dave with access to something he shouldn't have. That's the problem space, okay? We solve it by this. I can use the file server resource manager to classify data. I can tell it to open up those files and look for things like credit card numbers or social security numbers or email addresses or anything. And it will classify that data based on what it finds inside it, okay? Or just based on, because I'd say that is HR data. Or I can be more granular and get it to go inside. Then I can start setting access to it based on things like, I can create claims on the network. A claim is something that Active Directory can validate. So I have logged on as Dave. Dave's a member of the sales department. He's currently working on a machine that's managed by IT and is up to date. They're kind of some claims about me and about the device I'm working from. And then on the resource side, I can say, and only ever let people come in. You can only open that file if you work for the sales department and you're based in the US and you're working from a trusted machine that's patched. That's the level of detail. And it'll all just work, okay? I can go even further than that. I can rights manage the content if I want to say that, yeah, okay, fair enough, they can access it, but he can't print it, he can't email it, he can't do nothing. I'll be very, very, very restrictive about who can do what, when, how, to what. And I can audit all this. So I can say, I can prove that Dave only ever accessed X, Y, and Z from this machine at this time. So it's very, very, very powerful. Best way of showing this, and we'll cover it more this afternoon when we do our Active Directory session, but this is a little demo, it takes 2 minutes and then we'll have coffee, right? Full screen, I might go back to the beginning and show again because I was talking all over it. All right. A server with a share, and on that share, I've done some classification to say it's classified to be accessed by United States people in the sales department. Okay, that's all I've done. As far as, I'll just show you the access. So the resource properties, sales in the US, and I'll just give you an example of this. So I can throw in a username and check their access. So this lass called Alice has got 0 access because she cannot claim that she works for either the US or the sales department. If I bung this geezer called Ben in, do the exact same thing, he does have access because he is defined as a US worker based in a sales department, okay? And just to prove that to you, here's him working from a client, same client we used before, and there's the things I'm claiming. I'm in the sales department and I work for the US. An Active Directory has validated that that's true, okay? And because of that, I can connect to that share. And because of my access allowance over on that share, I can create content, okay? All well and good. All, we're following along, makes sense. Now, what I've done on my file server classification stuff is I've said that that format, 3-2.4, is a social security number, and it should be restricted to people with high classification. They should be, you need to be a member of a PII, Personally Identifiable Information Group. Now, I wrote that, I can obviously open it, right? No, because the file server itself has classified that content as highly restrictive, and even the guy who created it can't open it anymore, okay, which is kind of spooky, but that's good because the file server did it. So now, just to keep the demo going, I'm going to add myself, Ben, to the group that's got this personally identifiable information approval level, okay? Following with me so far? So the file server's classified the content as personally identifiable information and has locked me out of it. Obviously, I need to log out and log back in again to get a new token with that group membership on. So I log out, log back in as Ben, and something's going to change, right? So now I've got access to the file that I created because I'm in that right group. But what I've also done is I've turned on automatic rights management. So I've got on my file server role, I'm looking for the content, I'm classifying that as personally identifiable information, I'm locking down access to it based on membership of that group, and I'm also locking it down based on information rights management. So I've automatically encrypted that file so that only people in the PII group can open it. But when they open it, I've locked them down what they can and can't do with that file. So in this instance, I've said you can't print it, okay? Kind of very, 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 very clever, I would suggest that is. And I'll let that get finished later off. It is coffee now, so I'm going to go coffee. But just for a giggle, I'll put that up here because it introduces storage, okay? Storage is after coffee. That's just funny, okay? That is I suppose, a 5 megabyte hard disk. Okay? We've all got more than 5 megabytes on us now, I suggest, in our pockets, in our phones and stuff. The smallest the biggest flash drive I can find, thumb drive, is 256 gigs. You currently buy a terabyte of disk for what, 50 quid in Eason's? You buy 2 terabyte drive, about 90 quid in Eason's. It's ridiculous storage, okay? Lots of problems when you start doing that, which Aidan will talk to after coffee, which is now. So can we come back in 15 minutes? Grab a coffee and we're back in 15 minutes. Thanks.